And today, let's talk about something we rarely hear the truth, right? This is a question that typically every immigrant would have in mind before they enter into the country or when they probably after they enter into the country as well, right? So we keep hearing about the same stories and if you touch any immigrant, we keep hearing the same stories that you start small, within a few months, you'll be back in your field that you were operating in your home country. Is that even true? Because that's not how it usually works, at least for most of us. Many of the immigrants and newcomers to the country work or start with survival jobs. And those survival jobs could be in retail, warehouses, or even delivery for that matter with Uber and Skip the Dishes. And some may be wondering how long would it really take for me to get into my core field? Or they might question, will I ever get into my dream job at all? Today, I'm going to talk about the realistic timeline and how or what it looks like from survival to real job in Canada based on the patterns that I have seen. Let's start with the first year of your entry into the country as a newcomer. For many newcomers, the first job is about survival. They don't look at alignment or they don't look at strategy, just survival. You might land a job in a retail sector, or you might want to get into a delivery job with Skip the Dishes or DoorDash. Or even you wouldn't hesitate to work in a warehouse because it's your first year or first few months of entering into the country because you're setting your foot on the ground. And all that you do is only with a single goal in mind to get the income flowing, right? And you also wanted to understand the culture, thinking that this might probably help me to set the set my foot on the ground and understand or interact with those people and the workforce and see what is that I'm lacking on or what is that I can probably learn from the others with those interactions. So that will be your primary objective. And you will start building credit, build some references using those interactions, and you try building that rhythm in your daily life. And this phase can last for months or even for full year for a lot of them. And if you ask me, it's certainly emotionally tough for somebody who might have had a great set of experience in their home countries and suddenly they move here and the moment they start getting into the survival jobs, your mind is not going to accept that. It's physically a strain and a mentally a strain for you. And probably if you have your family also here, you all are going through it the same phase. If you see on the positive side of it, it may not be a failure, it's more like a foundation that you're trying to set up for yourself. And those people who come here and settle for a bit of a time, they start looking at bridge jobs. And these are not really the dream jobs yet, but sort of closer match to the kind of skill set that they hold. That could possibly be working as an admin assistant in your related domain or industry, typically taking a contract job or maybe a part-time or an internship or studying course to realign your qualifications. And also some people do volunteer to get that local experience and that first kind of feel from those communities. And you start tailoring your resume and you start learning what the employers in Canada might be expecting from you. And while all of this is going on, you might face rejection after rejection, because you're still seen as new, although you might have spent 6 months or 1 year in the country. But this is where exactly the momentum begins. You're not surviving anymore, you're navigating the situation. And somewhere between years 2 and 3, many newcomers land their first job, a real job in their profession. And it may not necessarily be their dream job, but something which is aligned to the kind of industry or the domain that they're part of. And this could be a junior analyst or a coordinator role, a specialist in your original field. Earlier, you might be a manager. You may not have a team to lead, but typically you were a team member as part of the larger group where you are reporting to a manager. Or typically a contract or a entry level version of what you might have done back in your country. By now, you might have built Canadian references and you might have had that workplace communication confidence and you might have built some good network and also a deeper understanding of how these teams operate here in Canada. And this job becomes your launching pad for what is coming up next in your life. And between years 3 and 5, most people start getting promoted, moving to more strategic or senior roles. Or they might have that opportunity to switch companies for a better pay scale. And this is exactly when you're trying to compete with other people who are in the similar industry with similar sort of experience that you carry. Means you're competing with the locals here equally because you're no longer called as newcomers because you are just another experienced professional with Canadian experience. This is also where people will start seeing your true potential, not your accent, not your lack of experience, but your real impact. For many people, dream job is not just about the title that they carry on their resume. It's a feeling basically that you are trying to do a meaningful work. You're trying to enjoy what is being done on a particular day, right? What is really carrying you forward to go to work every Monday? You feel that you're being paid fairly for the work that you're doing at par with your other colleagues in Canada. And you're not constantly second guessing yourself. All of this might take about 5 to 6 years, but it's all about resilience. You might think that it's too long for me. 5 years is pretty long investment for me to make and see the break-even point. This story may not be applicable for everybody. Some might crack in 1 year, some might crack in 2 years, and a lot of people might take 5 years. So eventually, a luck factor is also something that I would look at in these aspects. So typically, if you're lucky enough somewhere, a bit, while luck is about probability, but if you ask me, that is also something which definitely influences a lot of stuff. It could be about the timing when you apply. For example, to our job, there may be less set of people who applied, and eventually, although you may not have that kind of experience in Canada, they might take a chance to talk to you and see what is that you have to offer to the organization. And if that's the case, and you have high probability to go talk to them, tell yourself and get selected. That is luck, right? And there could be another time where there may be numerous set of applications that come in for the same job. And at that point in time, the competition is pretty stiff and you may have a chance or you may not have a chance. That's exactly what I mean when I say luck and timing. And here's the truth. Many people underestimate the truth. Here's and the time. They always look at shortcuts, right? Building up some fake experience. Let me put up some sort of fake experience in my profile and see how it flies. And they might think that it's easier to get through, but not the case. The dream job happens when your story, your skills, your network, all of these align. It's not magic, it's about momentum. I wish someone had told me this before I entered into the country. I have seen plenty of videos with people who have had similar experience. Whatever people are going through in 2025 is not something new. Of course, people who have come here in the past have had similar experiences. They have had great experience back in India, and when they entered into the country, they struggled a bit. Probably they might have had waited for 6 months to get that kind of opportunity that they were looking for. But the time has slowly grown up because a lot of people have come. Obviously, with a lot of people coming in, a lot of competition has also shifted from what it was. So that's where the timelines of 6 months, 1 year are no longer applicable. That's what I'm talking about, the high end of 5 years for you to have an established career and start being proud of yourself. And remember this, there is no shame in starting small. It's your career. And as long as you are able to convince yourself, as long as you're able to boost that confidence in you and build your self esteem, I think anything and everything is a good stepping stone for what you might see in the future. And it's absolutely no failure in taking longer than someone else. Like I said, some people might take a year, some might take two, or some might take five. The 5 year doesn't have to take it as a failure. Maybe it's not the right timing for them to get that opportunity, or that right, or it may not be the right job for them at that moment. Because there is no single path that fits everyone, right? Everybody's strengths are different, everybody's capabilities are different, everyone's developmental areas are different. The way I speak is extremely different, and we are two different individuals who bring two different perspectives. That's how we are different to each other, right? So your story would be different than what I have been through. It's your face now. Are you in the survival phase or transition phase, or you're in the growth phase? Or you already landed in your dream job and enjoying what you're currently doing?